My name is Pieter. I'm a Belgian documentary filmmaker. I'm here in BIFED to show our film, which is called The Returned, Los Retornados in Spanish, how we like to call it. It's a film that I made already a couple of years ago with a friend and academic researcher, Tessa Buykens. She was doing, maybe that's too long.
It's okay. It's okay. We can start again.
That happens to me. I start directing myself.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, let me pose you as a question then. Okay. So, can you tell us how the project has started, like the beginning of this film?
So we made The Returned as a team. I made it together with Tessa Buykens. She was doing a PhD research on how this particular village in Guatemala uses oral history to construct their own past and to construct narratives about their own history. I'm probably massacring the purpose and the intentions behind the study, but that's how I understood it. And one way that she used to research was through participatory video tools, which means that together with the village she conducted a lot of interviews, she recorded them, and then she started editing them together with the community. Like they were giving feedback and opinions in group on where the film should go. But then when they were finished with the project, the community and also ourselves felt like there was maybe something lacking. Something else could be done with it. I think the work that was done was like very valuable in itself as a record keeping and as a tool of research. But one thing that the community was looking for was a communication tool to tell their story to a broader audience in the world. And like Belgium is a very small place, so a friend of a friend of a friend got us together, and I speak Spanish. I grew up in Nicaragua, and I've made similar stories in the past, so I was immediately intrigued because it was there were limits to the project because, like most works of love, there is like very little money involved that we could spend to make the film. But what was interesting here is that Tessa had built up all these relationships during all this time, so this was like a beautiful advantage that we could make use of, and that's how we decided to make this.
So how did your so in terms of the collaboration with the local people, how do you see that in relation to your film? Like, how did you collaborate with the local people in the process of making this film, do you think?
So one of the main interventions that I did was they were talking about the past, always in the interviews, but you can't film the past. So I proposed to change the story to the present, but then look at it from the glasses of the past. Sounds a little bit esoteric, but it's more practical to film what is happening today and with the history as a background. That was one thing. So when we decided to do it like this, we wrote a formal letter to the authorities, because they have their own government, to the local authorities, like, okay, we want to continue this project, we're bringing Pieter on, and we have a proposal on how we would do this film. So this was quite interesting, because first we needed to give this idea to the village elders. We're like thinking, okay, yeah, we see it, this could work. Could you tell us your script and the scenes that you want to film? And I think one part was they want to be involved and they want to know who is there and what is or her approach is on the subject matter. But it was more of how can we assist you in doing this. And then I asked for a couple of days to have conversations with people and do like small scoutings in the area to decide which scenes we could possibly do or not. And then after a couple of days we had like a double pitch meeting. First with like the big sheet of paper and all the post-its, talk to the elders and explain them what we wanted to do. And then they were like, okay, all right, but now tonight we have to tell it to the village. So you see in the film a scene how they use like a loudspeaker to get everybody together. So they did the same thing. They got like everybody. The community has like 700 people, and I think there were like 300 or 400 there. They were like, okay, so what you doing? What you gonna do? And which is I think it was lovely and amazing, because usually you try to when you make a film you have a certain group of characters or one or two characters, and you try to build a relationship with them, but this time it was a community that was being represented by a few people, so they felt they had every right to have an opinion on the process and what was going to happen. So that was a very interesting process. And what was also very nice, this place is kind of remote. So we slept in like a few beds that were adjacent to the school, because the teachers also come for a week, and in the weekends they go away, because it's quite a travel to go there. So we had a bed next to the teachers. And then for food, each day we were invited in the house of other family. So that's the way, you know, like they shared the burden of this filmmakers team coming there. So, which was very, you know, on a personal level, it's like very interesting to every night or every day meet a different family and hear their opinion on the things. And yeah.
And usually with, you know, when the community is so much involved in the filmmaking process, at some point you show them a rough cut or an early version, you get feedback, you re-edit sometimes, but you were away obviously, so this probably didn't work that way, right? So
exactly.
But you finished editing, and then they were able to see the finished film after the film was completed, right?
Yeah. It's let's say I feel that when you're working with this kind of communities or people in a certain struggle or political environment, you need to listen very well to what they're saying, but it's not only on their particular point of view, but also about safety. What are you going to put in the film or not? And I think as a filmmaker you should always try to have like a profound collaboration with the people you're working with, except in, of course, there are films where you have more antagonistic relationship, but in this case it was like that. But even though this process before was like a very like a more radical interpretation of how this collaborative process can be, I was not of the opinion that we should do it like that. So I asked more for like the mandate to do it. So I explained who I am, and I said how I felt the film could look or should look, and what would be the main themes, and we just agreed on that. And it was not hard either. It was not like they were like a company who hired me and then needed to have a say, like leave this in and do this out, and so it was more of a basis of trust. So and I was actually like quite convinced that they would recognize themselves in the story. Maybe it was hubris, but I thought like, okay, this is like in line of the conversations that we had. And then because of it was COVID and everything, it was a bit harder to do this back and forth because. No, it's sorry, I'm telling you it's wrong.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
Okay, let's revise it.
I'm telling you it's wrong. No, so we didn't have like this collaboration on the editing, but before we showed it publicly, we got the sign-off. And to do that was quite interesting because it was COVID, so people were not being able to travel because that would have been the fastest way to get a hard drive with a physical drive on there. So we had to do something more creative. That was like cut the film in 3 parts. So we had 3 files, and somebody went to a library 2 hours away to download each day 1 file because it was very slow, and then piece by piece it got into the school where they had this old computer where they could do some basic editings, and then they edited the film together. And then first, like in the same order of like we got the approval, first the elders looked at it, and then they said, okay, let's check with the population, and they also signed off on it. And this was very exciting because we were doing like a public screening of it online because it was COVID, and we needed the response in time for today that we had built it, but it all worked out.
And so where did you have the premiere of the film, and when?
So we filmed it in 2018, and then so we edited whenever there was some spare time, and then it was 2020, and then I think in early 2021 there was some government program to do live streams of cultural stuff, and then we decided to have some fun, and we took like the most beautiful theater that there is in Antwerp, a very big space where you can fit 1,500 people, and then we did like a television show from the empty hall with like discussions before and afterwards, and we also managed to get the reaction of the village in there, which was quite creative to do because they needed to like actually hike up a mountain to have a reception to have the conversation, but yeah, it was fun.
And maybe lastly, I'm curious about you said that you grew up in Nicaragua,
yeah.
And so how did that in a way influence this particular film, do you think, or did it in any way? And the fact that obviously you speak Spanish because of that, I guess, right?
The language helps, of course. Well, it's like a basic fundamental necessity. But
you don't speak Mayan language.
No,
you
no,
speak
no.
Spanish, obviously.
Yeah.
So maybe there was an issue with at least with some members of the community, right? Or
yes,
did everyone speak Spanish?
Yes and no. It's a long story, but it's the community is actually a collection of different peoples. So they have different backgrounds, they have different languages, and they came from different places in Guatemala. And the war brought them to Mexico, and there they had like a connection on a different level, on a political level, and then they decided to do this movement to go back to Mexico.
So it's in a way they're like a combined
Yes.
artificial community that
Yes.
are forced to kind of come together.
And they use Spanish as the lingua franca to communicate
the common language.
The common language. So they use it for the government and for the school and whatever. And there is like a larger Kekchi community, but also 2 smaller language communities, and they do ways to keep the languages and the cultures alive.
Mm-hmm.
So, but because for them it was logical to speak Spanish, we jumped that hurdle. Just in the more spiritual ceremonies where each shaman is the wrong word, but you know, a spiritual leader used his or her own, mostly men, his own language, then we had to translate afterwards. But I think the more the way that helped me was that through my experience, I was a child there, yeah? But later on, through the things that my parents tell me, and then when you go back and reconfigure your youth a little bit, you start reading up on things, and then you start connecting. There is a common history in Latin America of the United States interventionism and how United Fruit Company from Colombia to Guatemala committed lots of big atrocities. So I knew the vocabulary, let's say, and I knew the history, which helped to very quick in the first few days to build trust with them, because they understood, like, okay, he knows where we are, from which point of view we are looking at things or at history, which helped a lot to build trust and to gain the access and the trust that we received in this short time that we were there, because I'm not sure if I told it, but we were there only 2 weeks.
Yeah, you told us that, yeah. So maybe finally, how is the community and how are you maybe using this film to bring attention to their plight?
So they wanted something that, you know, I like it when everybody involved with the project has his own agenda. Because if somebody doesn't have an agenda, he or she is going to lose interest in participating in the film. So I think that's a good thing. So their agenda was, okay, we want something that we can use to teach around the younger generations and inspire them to read more and to educate themselves more. But also they wanted something that they could use in their they have a whole history of international solidarity, of making ties with communities within Guatemala, but also indigenous communities within Guatemala, but also in other countries, but also with organizations, supporting organizations in the United States.
Sorry. Yeah, I think we have to wait, or maybe stop here. Shall we wait? Tamam. Let's wait for this call.
It lasts a few minutes. Yeah. It's going to be long.
Kapatayım bunu, sonra açarız. Kalsın. Tamam. I hope this wasn't too long. It's okay?
It doesn't bother me, but
okay.
I'm worried.
It's their problem. Let's concentrate on our agendas.
I'm always worried later with
I mean, you know, with editing in a film, there's a certain narrative logic to a conversation, right?
Yeah.
And then you break it up, and you never know what's going to come out of it. But...
Okay. We have to. We'll see. What's it's a boy or girl?
Girl.
What's her name?
Mila.
Mila. How old is she?
She is 20. June, July, September, October. So she's gonna be 28 at the end of this month. 28 months.
28 months.
Not yet 2.5 years.
Okay.
Of age.
She looks fairly young.
Yeah.
And playful.
Bilmez. Öyle mi? Öyle mi dedi sana?
Bir de arada bir yaprak yedi ama anlamadım. Bir yerleri kokluyordu.
Ha, yedi mi yaprağı?
Yani bir salde gördüm yani.
Ha. Yani ya yalamıştır ya yemiştir, öbür taraftan çıkacak. Yapacak bir şey yok. Tamam.
I was wondering if you would make it for the food.
Tabii. Tabii. Okay, so let's maybe finish up.
Yes.
Okay, where were we?
Yeah, good
How
question.
are they using the film,
Oh, okay.
and how are you using it? And you already explained that they have an agenda.
So they have ties with organizations all over the world, and they ask them to do events with those. So in a few, like in the next few months, there will be a few events in various universities in the United States, and.
So I'm curious. So they're going to show the film
Yeah.
and also do what? Like they're traveling with the film, or they're
No,
going
no,
to connecting
not
online,
espe-
or how does it work?
there are projections of the film in the United States with people from the United States who know the community very well and will be talking about it. Sometimes one of the members of the community travels as well, but it's not that it's together with the film. And I don't know, I think for some reason, maybe it has something to do with COVID, the film wasn't picked up a lot, but this year it's already like 7 or 8 festivals that decided to include it in the program. We made this without like a really tactical thing about festivals or something, because somebody explained earlier, you should have made it just under 30 minutes, then it would be, I was like, oh, okay, thanks. No, we made it, we put it online, we did like a big campaign to get the word out. So a few NGOs in Belgium are using it as well in their own education programs, and then I offer it to festivals, and I'm happy every time somebody chooses it, and it's lovely that people are still connecting with the story, and that, yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you.